There we go, bring us in musically into the 8 o'clock hour this morning. Mick, you're there. And if I was. He didn't say if I was what, but if I was. You are listening to The Breakfast Show. We're on 89.3 Call FM. It is Thursday, and the time is 20 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock. Good morning, Dr. Computer.
Good morning, Jerry. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. How's yourself? Are you surviving?
Oh, yes, definitely. Took a kind of a week off, and by off, I mean off-ish,
What did you do, stay at home?
Yes, but I do a little bit walking around the parking lot with my dog and take care of some things that need taking care of here in the home, like, replacing a light fixture and things like that, little things that kind of start to pile up because you're, busy working all the time and whatever, but they need to get done, and sometimes you want to do them on the weekends, but then you want to rest on the weekends and so on. So it's just a matter of finding the time and making sure everything, gets fixed, and all the, changing of the light bulbs and fixing of the sockets and things like that. I've managed to actually put in a few, I don't know if you've seen them, these electrical outlets that also feature a USB port, so you don't have to have a charger. Well, I placed a few in a couple of places around the house, so it makes it a little bit more convenient, so you don't have to hunt for an adapter. The nice thing is that you can charge things. The downside is that they're not usually fast chargers, but they're fast enough. So if a guest comes in, or if you just want to plug in your phone for a few minutes to top it up just a bit, they really do work very well.
Yeah, I was going to say that because we've got so many different variations of charging now, haven't we? From the sort of standard, now we've got fast, and now we've got super fast. I know some of these charging units you can buy will actually read what the requirements are and can adjust. They're that powerful enough. But like you say, the ones you got in the wall, they're not going to be that smart.
Nope, but they are at least useful. Now, that being said, let me explain a little bit about those chargers. The original USB specification only managed to pump out, I think it was 5 watts or something like that, tops. Then Apple came out with their iPad, which, has a bigger battery, takes a lot more time, and so on. So they came out with slightly larger chargers that would give out 2.1 amps or around 10 watts or something like that. Then the quick charge standards started to come out, and I think it was Qualcomm, among others, that started, saying, we really need to work on standards, because otherwise people are going to be plugging in their adapters willy-nilly, and they're not going to, in the best case scenario, they're just not going to get the performance they need. Worst case scenario, they're going to think our technology isn't that good. So they started with the quick charge, like they have quick charge 2.0, and so on. And most of the chargers out there can deliver between 10 and 15 watts of power, and phones or tablets or other devices can also get some benefit from that. Now, there's another charge standard called USB-C power delivery, which you may have seen on certain tablets and certain computers like the MacBooks, for example. And that can provide, I think, up to, I think it was 30, 40, 60 watts, depending on the charger and so on. A lot of the times, most of the time, you'll see around 30 or 40 watts of power. Those are not necessarily quick charge compatible. So you could use, in theory, your laptop's USB-C charger to charge your phone. Just don't expect it to charge as fast as a quick charger. Faster than a regular one, but not as fast as a quick charger. That being said...
I was going to say, for the listener, is there any way that if you put your phone into like the one, your wall socket one, or any other one, is there a chance that you could damage your phone if you put it in the wrong place?
That's very unlikely, because a lot of the times, most brand name chargers will have limiting circuits that distinguish any kind of short circuit or over voltage or anything like that. So as long as your cable is good and your charger is a name brand charger, you probably have very close to zero probability of damaging either your phone, its connector, or its battery. If the charger that you're using was bought right next to the cash register somewhere, I would not, be too keen on using it. I have bought at least twice out of an emergency charging cables or chargers from right next to a cash register in Panama.
Right.
They usually last almost all the way on the ride home. By the time I get home, it doesn't work. Either the cable will not charge, or it will not transmit information, or it will charge like so slow that if I use the phone while I'm charging it, the battery will slowly trickle down. So definitely, I will recommend to everybody who's listening to me right now, don't buy any chargers that are right next to the cash register in Panama. I don't want to mention the brand by name, but it seems to be widespread, and I have yet to have one single positive experience with those chargers. If you want to buy good chargers, there's Belkin, there's ChargeWorks, there's several. There's Anchor. Anchor makes really good chargers and batteries.
Yeah,
and stuff
I get Anchor stuff. I like it.
Yeah, and look out for what's called GAAN chargers. They're using gallium nitride instead of the usual other components that I can't remember off the top of my head. But the nice things about the gallium-based chargers and batteries is that they usually weigh around 1/3 and take up half the space of the regular chargers. So you can have something about the size of your wallet charge your laptop without getting hot, and while having 2 or 3 extra ports to maybe even charge your phone while you're at it. So be on the lookout for those. They will start at about the same price as a brand new power supply or a brand new charger, but they will drop really quick in price. So probably by Christmas this year, you'll see a lot of those in stores at really good prices, because since they use less components, they also need less cooling and less other parts. So even though they have to recoup the cost of making them in the first place, after the third or fourth batch, the prices start dropping because they're so much easier to make and so much more reliable, since they have so many less parts to break.
And remember, you heard it first here on The Breakfast Show that according to Alex, we'll be able to go to the stores by Christmas.
Or order them. They will be in the stores. You just won't see them.
Good order, yeah, exactly. Hey, listen, there was something I mentioned. It's on Reuters, and it says here, newly discovered spyware effort attacked users through 32 million downloads of extensions to Google's market-leading Chrome web browser. Researchers at Awake Security told Reuters, highlighting the tech industry's failure to protect browsers as they are used more for email, payroll, and other sensitive functions. But I mentioned that, in actual fact, what I've got on most of my browsers right now is malware bytes, which I use on all my machines to sort of look for problems, viruses, etc., and other. I tell you what, yesterday I went to a site. I was looking for some software for the studio. And every time I tried to look at this site, it came back, bang, this site is for this. It would not let me access it. Now, if I tried going around the back door and there was a download, it just canceled the download. And I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, it is. One of the things about using a browser lately is that people are using their computers a lot more. And with that use comes a lot more opportunity to run into a situation where the person will want to open a file or do something, not be able to, look on the internet, find out that your browser probably has an extension for that or a plugin for that. So they go and try to find it and so on. And unfortunately, some of the plugin places like the Chrome store and things like that aren't thorough enough. Or they are thorough with the process of the program getting into the store in the first place, but not so much with the updates. So you get, for example, there are a whole bunch of extensions out there that say, well, with this extension on your browser, you can download stuff of YouTube, off of YouTube, for example, or you can convert one file to another. You get a file on your WhatsApp in like a MKV format and you want it in MP4 format or anything like that. You'll find that there's like an extension to Google or Chrome or whatever to do that. The problem is a lot of the times either these extensions are bad from the beginning and just made it under the radar on the Play Store or the Chrome Store, or they go rogue after a while. You get these people who buy extensions or programs or whatever from their original programmers saying, you know what, I'm going to take this commercial and make it better, and the programmers say, okay, cool, thanks for the money, I really needed that or whatever. So they buy these established extensions and plugins, and then they sneak malware into them. And it's a good thing that you have something like Malwarebytes to catch that, but a lot of people don't. And a lot of the times people are also, right now, I understand that a lot of people are struggling, so let's say their Word, Excel, or PowerPoint from the company just expired because the company's not, renewing their software right now because they don't have the cash or whatever. So they go onto a pirate site and they download a pirated version or whatever. You get some of the same problems in the sense that you're going to click on where it says download this software here, but as the knight in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade says, he chose poorly, and they click on the wrong download button because it's an ad for malware disguised as a download button. So a lot of the times you'll get that as well. So it's really important, and it comes down to try not to download anything that you haven't done your really good research about, and even then, don't download without having something like Malwarebytes or some really good anti-malware programs on your computer.
And tell me, what is your impression of browser? I mean, on my laptop here, I've got Brave, I've got Firefox, I've got Chrome, and I have got Edge. I've got the developer's Edge, but I'm finding myself using Edge more right now.
I'm using Edge more right now as well. And let me tell you how I came to that. I started using Brave a lot. I mean, like my main browser every day. The problem is there are some websites that have code in them that looks like ads or looks like malware or whatever to Brave, and Brave, being overly cautious, will sometimes break some of the functionality. So when I'm using my browser to just do work, check my email on one tab, check my social media on the other, and things like that, I'm going to use Edge because it doesn't have a built-in ad blocker. But when I'm going to do research about something, let's say those gallium nitride chargers, let's say I want to do a video on how they work or whatever, then I'll run Brave and just do all my research there, browsing all over the place or whatever. So it's like wearing personal protective equipment when you go outside, but just, being comfortable in your own knickers when you're home.
Yes, exactly. Yes. I'd say one thing I've got to quite like on the Edge one is their collections. And I find I use that a lot now. I can select sites that, for instance, pages that I want to use perhaps during the course of the program, and you can make a collection, and they're kept, and it also goes onto my other laptop as well. I find that a very useful feature.
Yes, the synchronization feature is something that they inherited from Chrome, and as long as you're logged into the same account, you can have that. And that's also something I enjoy because I have my main computer, and I have a laptop, and I have a backup computer. And since they are all logged into the same account, if I, do something like add a favorite on one or add an extension on one or things like that, it replicates to the others. That being said, it's a feature that's also present in other browsers like Chrome and Firefox and so on. It's just,
Have you tried collections yet?
No, I haven't. But if it's anything like...
I find that... No, I was going to say what I find very useful about that is if I'm still looking, like you sort of doing a bit of research, I'm looking for anything specific. I come across this web page here, or I come across that, and I just add it to my collection. You make a new collection. You can put what it wants. For instance, the week, which is where I get a lot of the sort of relatively amusing stories on there, and then I go through and I can just load them into my collections. They stay there. And they're there for me available. So if I'm studying something, I don't have to keep going back and find the web pages because it stores the web pages there for me in collections, and I just go and click on it. It's worth a try.
It looks like a more refined, intelligent version of having the bookmarks or the favorites. It's a little bit smarter.
I think so. Because these are like you use them. I keep my bookmarks for places where I go sort of regularly or whatever. But if I'm doing some research on something and I find a YouTube video, I just put it in my collection and it keeps that page. I find an article on taking it. Oh yeah, I put that in there. And you make a collection and you just keep it as a particular collection, and then you go off and do something else. You make a new collection which doesn't interfere with that. And I've found that very, very useful.
Yes, and that's why I keep coming back every Thursday for these great tips. Thank you. I'm going to use that more.
Yeah, give it a try. It's worth it. What else is happening in the world of tech? I saw something, and I haven't made them, but I saw something about another Samsung phone coming out at something like an A75 or 753, which looked rather smart. It had a screen that goes right up to the edges. Interesting. Have you heard anything about that?
No, I did hear about the new Galaxy Watch 3 that might be coming out. Some images were leaking, as usual. I know there's some price drops on the Galaxy A10 in some places, not Panama, still. There's 5G rollout for the Galaxy A71 5G that's coming to the U.S. Soon, so that's interesting. The Z Flip that we had a chance to have a look at will also have a 5G version coming soon. And Motorola slashed their Razr price just to fight off that new Galaxy Flip. So it's getting heated out there, that whole
Well, you were talking to me about the Flip last week. Let me take a look. Let me look into that a little bit more. And I got to this guy because I tell you, I was put off that phone within about 2 or 3 minutes. For that kind of money, it's as expensive as the Ultra S20, and the screen is not glass.
Yeah.
It is plastic coated, and it's a very, very thin, very, very, very thin strip of glass, which is plastic coated, and that plastic finish marks so easily. You can do it with your fingernail.
Oh, wow.
And that's
a good thing I was careful with it.
I'll send you the link to that. This guy specializes in destroying things.
Oh.
And he said, okay, well, they say this is glass. Well, let's take a look. And he gets his little thing. He says, I'm just going to do this. And he has this thing marked from 1 to 7 or 1 to 8. And he gets his little thing. And he just ran it across. And he says, look, there's a mark. That will mark so easily, and it's expensive. It's $1,300 or something dollars. And I'll send you the link to that guy's thing because it scared the hell out of me.
Oh wow. Well, definitely. I think that the Z Flip is a phone that will probably just define a format as the first Note did, and have some nice features, some things to worry about, like you just pointed out. But I'm curious to see what Samsung will do, 2 or 3 years from now with their next generation of phone that does the Flip and whatever. I'm sure they're working pretty hard on making the screen a little bit more resilient. I think you're absolutely right. This is something. If you're a gadget freak and you want the latest thing, then I think it's probably for you. But it would worry me because it has a gap. Because when you close it, it closes it with little magnets at the top. But then there's a gap, and if you've got something in between there, or you're just not careful when you're using the screen, for that kind of money, it's not worth taking the risk. Yeah.
in my
And
opinion.
especially if you don't have like an extended warranty or anything like that. So.
And I've been sort of studying around because, we were talking and I sort of said about, the Ultra, but when I look now at the price of the Note 10 Plus, that would be the direction I'd be inclined to go in.
Yeah, one of the great things about this TikTok life cycle, as in you have an S release at the beginning of the year, then you have the August release of the Note. And Samsung has been keeping that pace for a couple of years now, and it's usually a good time to buy the previous, 6-month back model right after the next model comes in. So I think the best time to buy like an S20 or a Note 10 is right around between now and August when the next Note might come out. And then at the beginning of 2021 might be a great time to buy yourself a Note 20, after it's been in the market for a couple of months, because then the hype dies down a little and all the bugs get worked out because, with so many users buying it on day one, the firmware updates are never far behind, usually 2 or 3 weeks after they've ironed out all the bugs from everybody being like the final beta tester. So yeah, it's a good time to either get an S20 or a Note 10 Plus right now.
And have you been trying any of the Huawei?
Well, I've been trying the P40 Pro. I have it in my hand right now, Leica cameras. It's funny because the first thing you worry about is the lack of the Google applications.
Exactly, that was going to be my question.
But you find your way around it pretty quick, and that's at least my first impression. I've been using it as my main phone for a couple of weeks now, and it works out very well. It's really smooth. I do have to get used to the gesture control in the sense that I'm really used to the back button and the home button and so on. But this uses that metaphor where if you slide from the bottom up or slide from the bottom left, that's the back, and so on. It's something you take a couple of minutes to get used to, but otherwise it works out fine. Right now, I've managed to get all my applications running using either the phone clone software that comes with the phone. You install it on your original Android phone, and then you clone all the applications that it can. The app gallery, where you can find a lot of the applications that you're used to, and if you don't find them, you can always add them to the wish list, although give it priority. And the browser itself, when you open the browser, one of the main pages that it has in its search functionality is an app search page, which is hosted on Huawei's cloud service. And what it does is it looks around the internet for unofficial places where you can download the applications that might be missing. So I would say 99% of my applications that I had on my original phone are there. The main one missing is a Google application, which is YouTube. I can always use YouTube with the browser. That's not a problem. But I would love to be able to use the application itself. So I'm going to be looking...
Sorry, Alex. What
no
about
problem.
Banking apps?
Okay.
What about your banking apps?
Well, my banking apps are here because they were cloned from the original. But let me just open them because I haven't opened them in some time. Okay, so there's the American. Okay, so Bank of America application was not copied over. I'm going to look into that. Let's see, the Banco General. Okay, that was not copied over. I'm going to look into that. That's going to be interesting.
That would be a deal breaker. I wouldn't buy the phone.
Definitely. I'm going to look into that. Also Banismo, because a lot of people have Banismo and Neki. So I'm going to look into that. It's a good thing I still have my older phone there for that, if necessary.
Yeah, yes. I'm inclined to be a bit like that. Oh, I could have used the old one because I haven't sort of bothered to go through the problem of changing the arrangements with one of the banks. But well, anyway, Alex, thank you so very much as always.
Thank you. Great to be here. See you next week.
Always lovely to chat with you, and keep up the good work. And all being well, same time next week.
Same time next week.
Keep safe.